Welcome, fourth graders. So we have our painted power lines, with the sunset. We have our drawn power lines with the painted sunset. And what we're going to do now is make the power lines themselves black. So a silhouette is that moment at night or early morning when the sun is low enough in the sky that it almost casts darkness on things that are on the ground, but gives just enough light to the sky that everything on the ground looks like a black shadow, basically. Right. So even though that the telephone pole or the power lines pole has certain details, maybe it has a word going up it or a tag or something in the inside, we don't see that because it's right at that time in the early morning or right before it's completely dark that everything that is high enough looks completely black, right? And so what we're going to do then is basically color in the inside of our pole to create what is called a silhouette. So the silhouette is that changing of everything to solid black, the figure that you're looking at. So this can be trees. It can be a house even where all that detail, it could be a brick house, but if it's at the right time, you don't see any of those details in the house. You just see this black shadow outline of the house. Okay. So you can use a lot of different markers here. I have the big one, the medium one, and then the extra fine. I like to use either a pen or this felt tip pen for the actual power lines because it's skinny and it does a nice job using or doing the lines even if you move fast. You will also need a ruler at some point to at least do the power lines. Now you used a ruler to make all the lines, so if you go really fast, you're not watching what you're doing, you're going to take away all of that proof that you used a ruler to create this. So sometimes I like to use just the basic size marker. And what I'll do is I'll actually just run down and outline it. Okay. Now I could always do this with the ruler if you have shaky hands or you don't trust yourself. But what I find is that a lot of students will make errors and have this awesome drawing, but then all of a sudden they move their ruler when they're trying to do this, and then they kind of ruin their project. So remember, we aren't going to get another piece of paper that has a sunset painted on it. So this is kind of your chance. Okay. So after things are outlined, then I can color them in. And I'm just using straight lines. So just like when we were doing the soda can project, we are using straight lines to color things in. I have the big marker here because when we have a larger area like this, a larger space covers more area and is a little bit easy. Now, I should not use this big marker to do other parts of the picture because we don't want everything to be a thicker line. Can use it here. So that would be as small or as skinny as I'd want to go. Right. And I can't do everything, so now I actually have to come back in and do the corners. And the last thing you should do are the actual power lines. So keep that in mind. Don't do it first. You shouldn't have drawn them first. You drew them last, so same rules apply. All right, so now for these pieces, we know and from our picture that they had that beehive look. So when I color them in, I'm drawing those skinny ovals that get smaller and smaller as they go up. And then I just color them in like that. This one already has that drawn on it. Okay, so before I do the actual power lines, the power lines are done right now in pen because I use the pen in the demonstration, and I do want them to be a little bit darker. So if you like how they look like this, then use pen. Otherwise, I'll have these felt tip or Sharpie ones for in class. Okay, now I'm going to use a ruler at this point. So I'm matching up where I'm going to start the line and then how far it goes to the edge of the page. All of your power lines need to go off the page. So I'm focused on this one line first. Take it nice and slow, not pushing too hard. Okay. And so that's the first one. Now I'm going to finish it. And I always want to have the ruler in my hand that I don't draw with, obviously, but on the side that's not going to obstruct or block my tracing of the line. All right. So now that I have it where I want it, you go over that line. Okay. So now I'm going to do two more. And because you did watercolor over the top, you actually can't erase any of your pencil lines. So that's why we really need to take it slow. The watercolor has created kind of like a protective layer of, or a protective layer over the top of your pencil lines. So this is definitely where you want to go slow and stay on those exact lines, because otherwise you're going to see them. You won't be able to erase them. All right. So that is an example of a silhouette. We have a nice sunset or sunrise in the background, and then our silhouetted power lines. So use whatever markers you need today, but remember, always kind of use smaller rather than larger, unless you have a really big space like the pole. Everything else should be the regular size. Good luck, everyone.